are footing the bill for terrorism. Now, meanwhile, the older brother's radicalization and his associations are now raising questions about what we as a country can do to prevent these types of individuals from entering the United States in the first place. Now, should this impact our current immigration policy? Now, earlier I sat down with Coulter to get her take on this pressing issue. All right, joining us now, the ever shy Ann Coulter. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. All right. Now, we have the Boston bombing. We learn a lot of things that our law enforcement screwed up.
Yeah.
Our Department of Homeland Security, CIA was warning about this guy. FBI was warning about this guy. The Russians were warning about this guy.
Yeah.
How does this connect to the immigration debate? Because you were on the cover of Drudge last week, and the issue was immigration. It's not just about borders. It's also about visas.
Right, right. Well, as I've mentioned before, Teddy Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act was specifically designed to bring in mostly third world immigrants and to block immigrants from the countries that we've traditionally taken immigrants from, with a made-up America, i.e. Europe, heavily Europe, so I went through recent mass murders committed by immigrants who come here, can't make it in this country. They're angry at the country and lash out at Americans. There are about a dozen of them just in 2010, 2011, 2012, committed by immigrants who were not, doing the jobs Americans wouldn't do. They were here like Suspect 1 and Suspect 2, which, by the way, have become the popular way to identify them because no one can pronounce their names. They're here. The family's on welfare. The suspects are on welfare. And meanwhile, they're talking about how they hate America.
But the Saudi, this was a stunning statistic to me. Saudi Arabia literally had a 500% increase since 9/11/2001 in student visas.
Right.
All right. Here's my question.
And let me add to that point, often the refugee status, the asylum status is based on these guys being considered, they're being persecuted by their home governments. Sometimes they're being persecuted for the reason. I think that's how the blind sheikh got in. The guy who shot up the Empire State Building, he gets in, or maybe it was at the El Al counter at LAX. They get in because they're members of the Muslim Brotherhood, and Egypt doesn't like or whichever country it was doesn't like the Muslim Brotherhood. Why are we bringing them in?
Yeah, no, we can be pretty stupid as a country. We have dumb politicians. Here's my question, though. If you grow up in Saudi Arabia, for example, let's see, you grow up in a society where women must be covered, where women cannot drive, women cannot be seen in public without a male that they are related to. They have the morality police walking around. You need 4 male eyewitnesses to prove rape.
Right.
And we know the issue of divorce and marriage and men.
Right.
And
that culture is coming here instead of them becoming assimilated in our culture.
But here's my question. But the point is, growing up there and then coming here, if you've been taught that that's the right way, then you're going to think that America's evil and open and, well, look, women aren't covered. They're in bikinis.
Right.
I mean, shocking.
No, not only that cultural difference, but because our immigration policy does not discriminate in favor of people who are educated, who speak English, who have skills we need, we are bringing in, pushcart operators, or these guys up in Boston who had no visible skills. I mean, the one where the father talking about, he was going to be a great doctor. He was studying to be a nurse, and he was failing all of his courses. How is this an addition to America? And the important point, I think, you have recent immigrants, 85% are from the third world. More than 60% of them need government assistance. Now, the amnesty advocates, like Rubio, will say, but it's only 30% more than the native-born Americans. My point is 0 immigrants should be collecting government assistance. If you are collecting government assistance, it seems to me, can't we all agree you are not the kind of immigrant we need in America here? 0 immigrants should be committing mass murder.
If you grow up in a society that has Sharia law as its basis in law, you have been indoctrinated into a system that is totally, completely, and utterly contrary to our Constitution and our way of life.
Yes.
Are we making a mistake by just assuming, everybody's inherent, natural, God-giving desire to be free will transcend whatever cultural mores you were indoctrinated into?
You're absolutely right. And 2 points on that, we've completely given up trying to assimilate them. We do not have, you know, I mean, the worst place to send, I would say, anyone is to an American university. You could go into the University of Patriot, you're going to come out hating America, and this is supposed to be good for us, bring them, they already hate America. The second point is, I mean, there is a reason, for example, the Constitution says that to be president you have to have been born in the United States, and it isn't just Obama that started these conspiracy theories. Chester Arthur, his father was from Canada, and there was a big hoo-ha over was he an American, because there is an idea that they were, I think, the only two presidents whose fathers, whose parents were not both born in America. There is something to having been here, to having been native. We know we have our own native-born losers, murderers, welfare recipients. Fine, we'll deal with them. Why are we bringing them in?
Why are we importing more? And
on your point about how they're brought up in the culture and everything, when I was speaking at Syracuse last week, an angry third worlder, I think a Muslim, got up and asked a question and said...
How do you say Muslim? What it's Muslim?
Anyway,
yeah.
I'm trying to be sensitive to how they say it.
Okay.
And he said, oh, but you have to understand, I mean, with an accent, clearly an immigrant, you have to understand that the reason we hate America is because of the things America's doing around the world. And he was very angry about it. And I said, look, fine, I understand that. My point is, you should not be immigrating here. Yeah. Stay in your country and hate us.
Hate us over there.
Yeah.
I've never understood the American left and why they are not more outspoken, as conservatives are, for women's rights, that women that live under these oppressive regimes, that live under Sharia law, for example.